Hey, how's it going? This is Owen. I am partway through my morning run. It is the middle of July. It's already really hot. I sweat a lot when I run, which means my Garmin watch gets pretty gross. So if you're anything like me, you want to make sure your watch is clean. I'm gonna show you how to do that in today's video.
So cleaning your smartwatch or fitness tracker might not seem all that important, but if it gets really bad, you could wind up with some skin irritation on your wrist, especially if it gets caked on gunk down here. So it is pretty important to do somewhat regularly. I honestly don't do it as often as I should. And you can tell that I wear this watch a lot thanks to this epic watch tan. So let's get into what you're gonna need to clean whatever fitness tracker or smartwatch you have. With me, I have a couple of cotton swabs, I have a microfiber cloth, some paper towels for drying, a little thumbtack for scraping. Now you could probably use a toothpick or a safety pin, maybe even a paper clip. Thumbtack works pretty well though. And then I have a bowl of warm water filled with a little bit of dish soap. Now, talking about this watch specifically, this is the Garmin Forerunner 965. This is one of Garmin's more high-end watches. It has a lot of features, including an insane waterproof rating. They call it 5 ATM. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but according to Garmin, you can submerge this thing up to 50 meters and it's not going to damage the watch at all. Now, depending on what watch you have, you should double check your waterproof rating before, deciding how to clean it, because with this thing, I can just dunk it right in the water. Now, depending on the waterproof rating you have on your watch, you're probably gonna have to clean it a little bit differently. Most modern fitness trackers and smartwatches that are meant to track swimming have a very good waterproof rating. Even the super affordable Apple Watch SE, you should be able to do this with. Now that it's just been soaking in the soapy water for a little bit, I can take it out. And on this particular watch, the trouble areas are right where the watch face meets the band. So right up in here is where a lot of gunk can really get caked in there. The thing that's gonna be really useful is the cotton swab. You can just get in right there and just really get any of that gunk out of there. It fits perfectly. And then in areas like right here, you can sometimes get some gunk. I'm just gonna take my thumbtack and just kind of scrape it out a little bit. Make sure you do this gently if you're using a thumbtack. You don't want to scratch it, and you don't need a whole lot of force to get the gunk off. I'm gonna do that there and there. And then I'm gonna do the other side with the cotton swab as well. Get the sound.
Ooh, ASMR, huh?
Yeah, a little ASMR action. And that is a really good way to really get that trouble spot where the band meets the watch face. And speaking of the bands, I have the standard issue Garmin silicone band. There are a lot of different band options, especially if you have an Apple Watch. They make a ton of third-party accessories. Fortunately, the silicone band is very easy to clean. It's totally waterproof, and I'm just gonna dunk it into the water. Let that soak a little bit. And again, the really big trouble spots are where the watch face and the band meet. You can see these pins here. Do not lose the pins or else you won't be able to wear your watch again. But you can see over here is really where the trouble areas are. And for this, you can really just scrape it with your fingernails. There's not a whole lot of gunk on here anymore, which is fantastic. And then the flip side of the watch, the one that doesn't touch your skin, you can see that it has these little ribs on it, which does kind of collect gunk pretty easily. And you can take your thumbtack and just kind of scrape very gently in these ribs. It actually fits perfectly, and you can get some gunk off that way. Now, as far as bands go, I have the silicone band like I mentioned, but if you're using a leather band or a metallic band, you're gonna wanna clean it a little bit differently. You're probably not gonna wanna dunk it in the water, let it submerge. You're gonna wanna take a paper towel and just kind of dab it in the water and then clean it that way and then dry it immediately, especially for a leather band, because that could damage it if you're leaving it wet for too long. And then the other potential problem areas on the Garmin Forerunner 965 is on the underside. You see you have the heart rate monitor here. That can get a little gunky. And then especially the charging port. If you ever have, your phone, you can get a lot of gunk in your charging port. It's kind of the same way on this thing. You can just take your thumbtack and then scrape along the perimeter. Again, gently. You don't want to be scratching this thing. A major red flag if you need to clean your watch like this is if it's not charging anymore because it's not making a connection. I haven't had that happen to me, but it could happen to you. For the heart rate monitor, all you're gonna wanna do is take your microfiber cloth and just give it a nice wipe down. And then you're basically gonna do the same thing with the screen. Just give it a nice wipe down with a microfiber cloth. The things you're not gonna wanna do with your screen is use any kind of chemical solvent like a Windex that could potentially damage it, especially on a touchscreen like this. Also, you don't want to use anything abrasive like a sponge or anything like that. You don't need it, and it's going to potentially damage your screen, and you can just use a cloth. Now, there have been some people on Reddit, for example, who have this particular watch and say that the screen is very prone to scratches. I haven't noticed that. You can get a screen protector for whatever fitness tracker you have. So as you can see, cleaning the Garmin Forerunner 965 is pretty darn easy to do. Honestly, the hardest part was taking the bands off. It's a bit of a pain, but it is worth it to get it nice and clean. Now, depending on which smartwatch or fitness tracker you have, it could be easier or it could be more difficult. If you have non-silicone bands, that's going to make it a little more challenging. And if you have a Whoop band, those come in many different shapes and sizes, and that can be a little more complicated as well. How often you clean your fitness tracker or smartwatch is really up to you. I honestly don't clean this thing as much as I should. I do wear it in the shower, and I do think that helps a lot, but it is nice to give it a deep clean every now and then. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful or interesting. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel for all kinds of guides on how to do all kinds of different things. And speaking of, if there's something you want to know how to do that we can make a video about, make sure you let us know in the comments section. We'd love to get your ideas, but that's going to do it for me. This is Owen, and I'll see you in the next video.